I want to first welcome everybody back. This is our first totally open to the public meeting. I'm glad to see everybody's faces here. So with that, I'd ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to ask for a moment of silent reflection, please. Thank you very much. We'll now hold the public hearing for the Kilmer Solar Farm. Donna, if you would read notice of public hearing.
Notice of public hearing, Town of Lewiston Town Board. Please take notice that a public hearing will be held by the Town of Lewiston Town Board, Niagara County, New York, on the 28th day of June, 2021, commencing at 6 p.m. at the Town Hall, 1375 Ridge Road, Lewiston, New York, to hear and consider the following property and property owner application. Owner applicant is Mary Ann Kilmer, Saturn Power. Property location is 4616 Town Line Road. To consider application for a special use permit and site plan review for a ground-mounted utility-grade solar energy system on said premises. All interested parties will be heard by the Town of Lewiston Town Board at said public hearing. A full copy of the application is available for review at the Town of Lewiston Building Inspector's Office during normal business hours, dated June 2nd, 2021.
Thank you, Donna. So I have Charlotte Patterson from 4611 Town Line Road. You'd like to speak? Yeah, please just stand up at the mic.
Absolutely. I live right across the street from the proposed solar farm. I've been to a couple of meetings leading up to this point, but most people have probably already heard my complaints, but I'm not for the solar farm going in. We just moved in October. Had I known that this solar farm was going into this property, I would not have bought the house. And I feel like many of my neighbors probably feel the same way, that our property value is going to diminish with the solar farm being so close. I have a big concern about the safety. I know that there are things back and forth, but there's no long-term studies about what these solar panels can do to the property, or the land, or if there were a fire or anything, the seepage into the ground, anything like that. I do have a 2-year-old, and her safety and my concern for her well-being is first and foremost, and I would not choose a property so close to a solar farm. Fire is a big concern. I don't know the exact details of what would happen with a fire, but I know that sometimes they let it burn and sometimes they spray chemicals on it, and that can be detrimental to my family's health and my neighbors, and I don't know where we would go if you have to evacuate in such a big surrounding of the property. That's something that I'm not prepared to do. I don't know what I would do, but I am against the property solely for safety and our property value would diminish.
Thank you very much. Now I have on here Zoe's Dog Park for Newport IEC. Who would that be? This is in regards to the solar farm though, right?
No.
Okay, this is just a public hearing right now for the solar farm.
Oh.
Okay, no, that's okay. No, we're going to go to the resident statements afterwards.
Okay.
So I'll move you down. Thank you.
I have a question before we go on.
Yes.
I was under the impression that when we came to this meeting, the solar farm was going to talk a little bit about what they wanted to do and how they wanted to lay it out.
Okay.
So I was just wondering if they would tell us that first so we could understand what they were going to do so we could give educated comments back to them.
I don't believe anybody. Is anybody from the solar company here? Yeah. Yeah. Were you planning on doing that?
I'm happy to speak to the project.
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda. This was mainly for you guys to be heard.
Great.
Okay? So, okay. Sorry. Andrew and Roberta Cloda? Cloda?
I can
Oh, yeah.
Hi. So I live right next door to the solar farm, the proposed solar farm. And it would wrap our farm on 2 sides. So I have concerns about whether we're going to do an environmental impact study for that. My master's degree is in environmental health, and I'm curious how that's going to impact our farmland. So the farm sits uphill from us. So anything that changes on their land is going to affect our land. It's going to change our ditches. It's going to change how we drain. Everything that runs off their farm, if there is an issue is going to enter our farm. We farm our property for hay. We have animals on it. My daughter competes with 4-H. I compete with her still. We travel all over. We raise eggs from our ducks. We have pigs we just picked up. We're working our farm as a farm, and I'd rather not have it contaminated with all the things that could happen from that. I've worked with enough construction sites. I understand what that's going to look like when they start running trucks in and out of there. We're not going to open our pool that summer, right? There's going to be dirt everywhere. I see the house just up the street by Lombardi's. I know it's not Lombardi's anymore, but that white house right next to them. When they mine that dirt, that house is disgusting. That's going to happen to our house too. There's going to be no windows open on that side of our property, right? That's all going to blow right across and go in our pool. All that dirt's going to go all over our animals. They're going to breathe that in. Her children, my granddaughter. It's going to be a mess when they start running that up and down. When they go to start doing their drilling, are they going to core drill? Who knows what they're going to find? When this is over, what's the property going to look like for us? We're the ones that are going to get stuck looking at this. So our property value goes down when they start making these investments because nobody wants to live there. You're going to hear from most of our neighbors. And here, we don't want this farm next to us. Right? We get it. There's so much property around here. It's crap, right? You put it over in the town of Porter where you can't farm. Put it at the Nike base. Put it somewhere else. Don't put it next to us where we all bought this for residential farms, right? There's all kinds of little 20-acre farms there that people are running, right, to teach our children something, for us to have some sort of a legacy. I want my daughter and my granddaughter to be able to have something off this farm and not even be able to sell it after all the investments we put into it. I am totally against this going in.
Okay, thank you very much. Ernest Wilson III.
I am Drew's cousin. I don't see it being environmentally safe joining next to his property. I see the animals suffering, I see the children. I'm against it totally.
Okay, thank you. Herbert Meisner.
I guess I am hearing impaired. I couldn't hear some of the things that were said. But I live across the street on Albright Road from the proposed solar farm. And what I see over there is an environment of beautiful wheat growing this year, of when the geese come through, they settle in the pond up there, they fill in the field, probably up to 500 to 1,000 of them sometimes, in the field across the street in the back of my house too. And deer, walk through there. And the result of a solar farm is going to disturb the environment in that way. It's going to move deer to another location. It may be that geese will not come back through that area again. So we talk about environment with solar energy, but when we look at the environment, it includes more than just the air that we live in. It includes the things that we see every day of our lives. And to look from that into the unsightly panels of solar farms really would bother me an awful lot. Another question I have about solar energy, though, is what do they do with those panels when they're done with them? Because I understand the longevity is, I've heard 10 years, I've read up to 25 years. After 25 years, what do they do with those panels? Are they put into the ground, and what type of toxins are inside of those panels that would disturb the water supplies that we have in the area? I don't think that's been researched at all. And I know definitely that nobody that I know of, that I've read about, even of green energy people, know what they're going to do to dispose of those solar panels in the future. I just feel that there are other places. If we wanted to put up solar panels, we could put them on some of the garbage dumps in the area. We could put them at Summit Park Mall that's been left vacant for many years, the driveways and everything else. We could put them, I grew up in West Seneca, New York, and there was a Seneca Mall out there. That's just been vacant. That was beautiful farmland when I started growing up. Seneca Mall was put in there. That's been vacant probably about 40, 50 years now, somewhere around there, and nothing's been done with that particular area. So all you do is look over at wasteland, just cement and everything else that is there. Why do we put it on land that is fruitful, that can be used to produce things that we need every day of our lives, that we can share with other people of the world too? And besides, we got resources within our earth that the Lord has given us within our earth that we can use for energy that we've had that's been taken away from us for whatever reason. I was a teacher, a principal of a school at one time, and I took kids over to Somerset. And when I went to Somerset, they said that I think there was 10% or less emission going into the air of any types of toxins. And I know that has been decreased by the the governmental department that says, I think there's about 4% emission is allowed now in plants like that. When I grew up as a kid, with a lot less resources, we had probably twice as much pollution in the air that we have right now. My dad, I can remember one time, I was a farm boy. I remember one time that my dad said he was plowing snow, and after a nuclear bomb was set off in the deserts in Nevada, he plowed the snow, and the snow, when he turned it over, was blue. That's how much pollution had fallen out of the air. We have a minimal amount of pollutants going into the air. So I don't understand why we are using solar panels or solar energy when we don't know how we're going to dispose of those, I don't know what they call them, panels, solar panels. And I just think that I'm totally against green energy until we can prove that it cannot interrupt the visual environment of our country. And that's happening south of West Seneca right now with all of the mills that are put up there, the turbines that are put up. When you go out there, you used to see beautiful countryside, now you see big turbines. So I don't want to take up any more of your time, but I really feel that that is going to interrupt our environment in the area, having solar panels. It may interrupt it more than we even know right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now, that was it for the comments for the public hearing. So now I'm going to ask the gentleman, oh, go ahead, ma'am.
I got to sign in, but could I speak on this over?
Absolutely. Just do me a favor, come up to the mic and state your name.
Susan Milkey.
Okay, hold on one second, Susan. M-I-L-K-E?
M-I-E-L-K-E.
Okay, and your address?
4552 Town Line Road.
Okay, thank you.
This is going to butt up to the west side of my property. I, like everyone else, has the safety concerns with this. When the gentleman that's representing the solar production company came out and talked with my husband, he told my husband that he's already talked to the fire department and he's provided them with equipment and everything else to fight these fires, which I've talked to the fire department, none of that is in place. It's just him telling the stories. As far as the environment and the wildlife and everything else, I can't have a bonfire at my house through a certain period of time because of the migration of the geese that come in and they land right behind my property. what are these panels, if a bonfire's gonna screw up the birds and they don't know where to go and land, what is 28 acres of solar panels gonna do for them? That's gonna be really crazy. We still have, you know, like I talked before about the flock of 30 turkeys we have that come through there they come through there, the deer, all the wildlife that's there. It's all gonna be interrupted. The water runoff in there, you don't know what the contamination is at. I talked to him about that. He goes, well, we have studies that we can provide you. I was never provided with those studies. Plus, these were studies that were done in North Carolina, not New York State. Big difference. It's apples and oranges. You can't even compare what's happening in North Carolina and what's happening in Western New York. They have the main trunk line to the gas company runs right across the back of those fields. What happens with those? What if there is a fire? What if then, it could end up to be a disastrous event that got so bad that those gas lines were affected in any way. And as far as the look of them, drive around. They're saying, oh, we're going to plant shrubs, we're going to plant trees, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. They're not going to do it. They haven't done it any other solar farm that's around that you look at. They all, they have the bushes that are this big. By 20 years after you got to pull these things down, then maybe the trees are going to block it, but it's not going to block it prior to that. And I get it. It's their property and they can do what they want on it. But when they're making profit and I'm losing the value of my house, that's wrong. It's just wrong. And that's what they're only doing it for, is for the money, which granted, it's great money that they're going to be making. But at the same time, leave it to farmland. Do something else with it. Don't endanger, all the neighbors are here saying we don't want it, yet they keep going forward with it. So, I'm just totally opposed to it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, sir, would you like to step up, please? Sure. How you doing?
Great.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Jared Perram, Perran.
Go ahead.
Outside of what sort of all the folks know in terms of the project specifics, 5 megawatt solar project, community solar, that kind of thing, I think I'd met just briefly with this board last month to set up this meeting. So if I can just recap a little bit on from the last planning board meeting that we had up until now, and just some of the pieces that I'm seeing as outstanding, walk through that, and I'd be happy to address some of the questions as well from the audience. So what I've got here is from the planning board meeting that we had last month. I've got the list of conditions for special use permit and really like ultimate approval, I guess, from the town board. And I just want to run through that really quick. So a system is constructed to adhere to all local regulations governed by ag and markets. We're of course happy to do that. Can't really do anything until we start to build, right, as far as actually crossing that off in terms of a line item. And of course with any sort of modifications that we make to the plans. Receive DOT written approval. That's underway. DOT knows about the project. They've seen the plans. Once we get to a position of 100% plan set for building permit, that would get submitted to the DOT. DOT would give their written approval in the way of a permit. Final review and approval of decommissioning plan. Excuse me, I think that we still have a bit of a hanging piece there. I don't know if the town board has had the opportunity to review the decommissioning plan narrative, bond amount, and the actual visual representation that's in the plans. I don't know if you had the time to look at that thoroughly. Happy to answer questions there. USACE written approval. So we did have the Army Corps out on site 2 weeks ago. We've got them actually putting together the jurisdictional determination letter. They continue to be delayed by delays and delays and more delays, but we anticipate having that probably by the end of the summer at least. Review and approval by Lewiston Environmental Commission. I met with those folks earlier this month. We had a great meeting, answered a bunch of questions, and all signs pointed toward an approval there. Continued adherence with Town of Lewiston solar law. Again, happy to do that. Review and approval of decommissioning bond, which I'm not sure. I'd look for a little bit of clarity from the town as to whether or not you're looking to approve the estimate or the actual bond, like you want to know who the bonding agency is and actually see the bond in written form and where that money's actually going to go. Again, that would be probably closer to building permit when we've got 100% plans. We know exactly what that dollar amount's going to look like, and if it's got to go up, right, ultimately it would go And final review and approval of town pilot, which brings me to kind of not a sticky point, but a crossroads that we're meeting in terms of pilot between town, IDA, school district, and county, which I'd be happy to expand on, but I don't want to jeopardize all the time here.
Since we have the neighbors here and everything,
Sure.
what I would like to see you do is, so here's some of the questions. So Roberta asked about an environmental impact study. Has one been done?
Yep. So we have a phase 1 study was just complete on the property. We have the seeker study. We have our stormwater pollution prevention plan has a lot of the SHPO and USACE characteristics taken into consideration as well. And we do have a phase 1 is part of the overall seeker process. So, and all that should be public on Lewiston's website. If it's not, I can email it or whatever that looks like. I mean,
Do you have it yet?
maybe not public, but I mean, it says
Yeah.
it in your town.
Yeah.
The
We
notification.
obviously didn't approve seeker yet, so if you have anything you could provide Roberta, that would be great.
Sure.
Yeah. And then she had a question about drilling.
Yeah, we pound the post right in, so we don't do any sort of drilling, anything along those lines. It's a straight. We'll use a C channel is ideally what we'll use, but if we get some resistance, we'll use an I-beam. Just a piece of steel going straight into the ground, no drilling, no blasting, nothing along those lines.
Can I ask a question, a follow-up question?
Sure.
I didn't know if I was allowed to.
Well, yeah. No problem.
So when you do that, when we have that gas line that runs through, we aren't even allowed to put a fence post within 100 foot of that gas line. So how will you take that into consideration? We were told we can't do that unless there's guys on our property watching us. We're only drilling in a 36-inch fence post, so how will your team take advantage of that?
Yes, I'm in touch with National Fuel. I've gotten their right off that we're 80 feet from that pipeline. We're not in any level of disturbance that we signed off on that for us.
And then Herb asked about recycling. I know there was an issue with the county recently with recycling, and I know there will be a decommissioning bond. That's part of our town solar law, that you have to have a decommissioning bond. So go ahead with the recycling.
Yeah, so which was much respect and understanding. A lot of folks don't know what to do with solar modules right now, no question about it. We do see that there are 2 plants right now in the U.S. that are actually actively recycling solar modules. There's plenty that you can call to dispose of modules, or they'll take them to developing countries and actually use them there as well. What the town of Lewiston, the planning board, had asked us to do is actually go in and monetize, put a dollar amount on the anticipated recycle cost per solar module for the decommissioning of the system. And we had to put that into our decommissioning bond that we'll issue with the town. That money will sit in escrow, call it. And if we don't live up to our obligations of decommissioning the project, or at the end of the project life cycle, module's about 25 years, 30 years manufacturer warranty, then that money will actually be used to just decommission the project and bring the land back to its current state as it sits right now.
What happens if the value changes from what you bonded? Who makes up the difference for that?
Well, ultimately we would, but there's
That makes up the difference. We do.
the finance for what. And we've got, I mean, we've put it all through the town of Lewiston's third-party engineers, and I mean, they're in the business of looking out for the best interest of the municipality, and they've given us that sign-off. They feel it's a reasonable cost.
Okay, but who is responsible for that if that bond isn't enough?
Well, my town engineers in the back, there's a formula that I believe is it the EPA or the DEC has used.
NYSERDA has a formula.
NYSERDA,
which
okay,
is
so it's NYSERDA has a formula which the engineer bases it on, and they come up with a dollar amount figure. One of the questions we had was there is a scrap value to these that's included in there, and what we had talked about was taking that out, because nobody knows really what they're going to be worth in 25 years. So if they were worthless, what would a decommissioning bond cost? So we're going back and forth with that. But there is a decommissioning bond. If in 10 years they went belly up and left, you're not going to have solar panels in the middle of the field for the next 30 years to look at with grass going on. We would decommission it, get rid of it, and it would be gone. And it's the purpose of the decommissioning bond.
So I'm going to ask my question again. What happens if there's not enough money again? Who pays for that?
Well, right now it's more than enough money. I've been assured by our engineer and the formula that NYSERDA came with, that it's usually more than enough. And I wish he was here to answer, but like I said, he's in the back room going over some details on another item, so.
So I appreciate the same answer coming back at me, but I'm going to ask it for a fifth time.
Well,
Who pays for it if there's not enough stuff in the bond?
well, no, it wouldn't fall on the taxpayers. No, it would be,
He's
look,
gone.
here
It
they are.
doesn't even exist anymore.
Bob, we have an engineering question.
Oh, boy. Your time.
Yes, okay, go ahead. So Roberta is asking about the decommissioning bond.
Yes.
And what's the formula for coming up with that decommissioning bond, and what if it wasn't enough?
Give me 1
Yeah,
second.
no, take your time.
We'll, put the decommissioning bond.
Sorry, we got to read when you walked in the door.
No, I mean, I would have gone and got him if it wasn't, because,
Okay. Regal Solar, right? 4616. I'm at the right spot here.
See, yeah, 4616 is right, but
Sounds
not
right.
Saturn.
Okay. Decommissioning bond. This was done. What it is, it takes the number of panels, the equipment, and assigns a value to the removal of each of those facilities. That gets summed up. There's a permitting and inspection contingency, a legal contingency, and rounded up. The initial amount is $304,000. Okay, that then gets inflated by 2.5% per year for the life of the solar farm, which is 30 years. That escalation after 30 years at 2.5% gets up to $622,108, and that's the bond amount that has to be submitted in full on day one. Even though that's the projected value 30 years out, it's upfront on day one.
so her question for the 6th time is going to be, if that wasn't enough, who pays for it?
Where does that cost get sent to? The company no longer exists.
In the event it costs $700,000 and say 622, yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Where I can tell you that in my belief that the 304 on day one is enough based on the values that have been developed, and it's in accordance with a nice CERTA kind of standard formula. The 622 on day one, I'd take it out for that. That's in my mind, that is more than adequate for what has to be done.
So how do we get to the answer of who pays for it if it's not the right number? Right, because a lot can change in 30 years.
I agree. I like the change.
I suggest the people at Albany that are pushing the green agenda pay for it.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that, but I don't think that's the
I don't think
company.
so either.
So-
property owner?
I was going to say, it's probably
Yeah.
following the property owner.
Yeah.
So
The
he
property is owned by the
files
town at that time. It
Right.
would be town
Well,
by virtue
and
of being the property
and
owner.
that's the thing right now, if it doesn't change in 30 years, we could put it on their taxes, and they'd have to pay it before closing.
I
So,
don't think this is Kilmer going to be around, God bless her.
but somebody will be,
Wonderful.
somebody will
Or
be
they
who
filed
owns
for
that property.
bankruptcy.
Somebody who will be, will be that
We're all
property
related
owner.
to something.
What if the property goes into foreclosure for some reason before then?
Well, like I said, we have the decommissioning bond, okay? And if it goes foreclosure before then, somebody's gonna get a solar farm that profits, I don't know what whatever the homeowner's making per year, $25,000, $30,000 per year, somewhere in that ballpark, I believe it is.
Can I ask another general question on top of what you said? Yes, they are going to benefit from it.
Yeah.
But the town's responsibility is to all of us. So how can the town grant them such a reward at the detriment of all of us? I invite you to drive by the property and see how it's going to affect. It's going to change our whole world.
Yeah.
And they're going to benefit from it. And we're going to lose tremendously. I mean, moving alone, even if I can sell my house once it goes in, I've done it 5 times already. I don't want to do it again.
Well, I can tell you this, I've been paying close attention to the ones we already have, and there's 3 houses that are being built across the street from the one that's on Swan Road. Williams Road, if you drive by the one on Williams, you can barely see the one on Williams
That's very
Road.
different, yes.
Yeah, Moore Road. The one out of the 3, the one on Swan, I hate the screening. I'm going to be honest with you, I hate it. Moore Road and Williams Road. I love the screen. I think it's phenomenal. And that's me talking. That's not, you know, I don't know what their opinions are on that.
Very
So,
different. We're a big open field.
Right.
Come down the hill, and the first thing people are going to see when they drive down that hill is solar.
Yep.
And that's going to, I mean, nobody wants to see it.
But the concern from day one on these was property value surrounding it, right? And on the one that's the worst screened, the property values haven't been affected at all.
But do you think that's maybe people who just want to build a house and that's the cheapest property and they
Well,
don't hear it?
I mean, I think we can all agree that this housing market right now is through the roof. Is it going to continue forever? No. So to predict that, but like I said, I haven't seen the detriment from that solar farm on the property values around.
I would like to say one thing about the one on Swan Road. That's the first one we approved, correct?
Yes.
And we all noted the same thing you're saying. The shrubs are this tall and maybe slightly taller. They're spaced too far apart. And this was brand new technology that was brought to us. And we were facing the prospect that the state would come in and say, look, if you're not going to approve these, we're going to take over and we're going to approve them. And we would lose all control over it. So we came up with a solar law that was based on everyone, all the neighboring communities, what they had written, and we took the best from all. And after we did that, they put up the solar farm, and lo and behold, it looked like you're saying. You know, it's not blocked, it's not screened. So now our planning board took all that into account, and they demand much more, right?
And our new solar
Screening.
law.
And we got greater setbacks from the neighbors, greater setbacks from the street. I agree. To me, solar farms are ugly. But we're faced with a prospect. If it was your property and you'd had it for years and someone comes along and says, we're going to pay you some...
They did that to all of us, and we all said no.
Yeah, but you're maybe at a different phase in your life. Maybe if you were 90, you'd say this...
A couple of years ago, they approached me.
I know.
Wanted to buy it.
Well, you're not 90.
Well, like you said, if that was in there before, I wouldn't have bought next to it. You wouldn't have bought next to it.
Oh, I understand.
Because it's not so much what the environmental impact is, it's what the perception of the future buyers would look at it like, you know, well, now if you have this many people looking at your property, we have unique properties. We're not, little, half-acre lots with a house on it. We're larger properties that we use them for agricultural purposes. And now you've taken your group of people that would want to buy your house, you make it smaller because you put a solar farm next to it. And you keep all farms, and farm, it's industrial solar. It should be an industrial area.
Mhm.
What it should be.
Well, the one thing that I can say honestly is the screening that we've mandated in our new laws is much more adequate. Because when you go to a properly screened one, you look at trees and bushes and hedges and how's your screening on this project?
It's robust. I mean, you guys have the plans in front of you. We perform the photo simulations. It's extensive. There's no question.
But it's not a situation where we're looking at a simulation 20 years down the road and it's 7 feet tall. What's it going to be like the day you finish the project and all the screening's in place?
The photo simulations capture day one installation as well. I mean, they are the plants
But
range.
tell these people.
Yeah, the plants range anywhere from, because we mixed it up a little bit as far as the heights and the depth of the plants, anywhere from 3 feet to 6 to 7 feet on day one, depending on the type of pine or shrub that we're putting in.
Putting in 67-foot pines.
No, 6 or 7.
I'm like thinking, I know you have a lot of stories, but it's a really big one. Oh my God.
And I'll be the
Well,
first
hey,
to
I
admit,
know
I'll
you
be
saw
the
a
first
lot
to
of
admit, it's a
stories.
unique property. You could probably put 67 feet evergreens in there, and when you're coming down the hill, you're still going to see it. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that. It's a unique property. I think the Swan Road one, it made it worse by putting any screening on because it's so ridiculous that it sticks out. And, that's why we changed our solar law. We took over a year moratorium. It wouldn't have been a year because of COVID, it ended up being over a year. This solar farm, if it would have come in under the old law, would have been 200 feet from the road. We increased it to 700 feet. So we tried to do what's right because I don't think you can just ban solar, right? You just can't ban it. And there's only really a couple of unique properties in our town. West Seneca is great and the Summer Park Mall, but those aren't in our towns. And you know, we do have one that was being proposed for a dump, and we're hoping that comes through, I'll be honest with you. Because it would be a great opportunity to put it where everybody's saying it should go. But the Kilmer family's decided that, unlike you, that they want to take this up. But I mean, we're going to go. We're not going to make any decision tonight. Okay, we wanted to hear what everybody had to say, and then talk amongst ourselves. I didn't know there was a gas line in there. I'll be honest with you. I didn't
It's a
know.
high pressure gas line.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do a little bit of research there. We have nobody from the building inspector's office here. Tim's on vacation, so I will talk to him when he gets back about the gas line. So this is the first I heard about the gas line. So I'm comfortable with the decommissioning bond. I've been comfortable with every one of those. Whether it answers every question you have on the decommissioning bond, I've talked with Bob and you know, the NYSERDA formula and all that. But again, I'm gonna look into personally the gas lines for sure. So
Is the proposed plan that's been put in place by the solar company, if the board decides to go with it, is that the plan that's going to stay? Because
well, we can make changes to it. The final say is here, and if there's something that needs to be changed, we can make. The planning board's a recommending board, okay? Very good one. Yeah, very good one.
That is a good
And the thing is if we said to them ahead of time, hey, you know, these are the concerns with a solar farm that you're coming down the hill and all that. You know, we relay that to them. I do. I speak with Bill, you know, in regards to some of the things. So, I mean, I like everything the planning board has done with this one, but there may be a couple things we require that isn't in the planning board. So the final approval comes from the town board one way or the other. And if it means they got to do something a little bit more robust or a little bit different, we can require them to do that.
Where is the final, where's the plans at now? If I want to see the complete plans.
You can come to town hall. They're here at town hall.
Because I know they've changed this last time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can call me and make an appointment. I got it sitting on my desk. Okay? So, okay.
So then I just said when we're, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You will.
So, butting up against our property, when they first came in and measured, they had to do some changes because they had to stay the distance from our property, from our part of the structure. So we've added another structure and had a building permit for it and everything else. So does that move them back more, or how does that work?
I guess that would be a legal question.
Was in place before they started.
Okay. Yes, sir. Just to be fair, just stand up and speak loud.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you come over the hill, you were mentioning coming over the hill
Yep.
and looking, all those houses along Albright Road are going to be seen as property that is not as valuable anymore as the property that they see now when they come over the hill because of the beautiful farmland that is there. When they see a bunch of solar panels, people are going to say, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be around that. I can find properties elsewhere. How do you think that makes me feel? As a property owner that bought that with that intention in mind, that I would be out in the country. I built that house with my son-in-law myself. It took us a year and a half. And I'll tell you, I'm really upset if there's going to be a solar farm.
Do you have another question for Jared here?
What are we going to do so that that solar farm will not be seen coming over the hill so that people will not see these panels going up and down the road? Because what I've seen going on Rockport, there's nothing that hides those panels at all. Nothing. They got a little tree here, a little tree about 20 feet away, there's another little tree, another 20 feet away. But those panels there, you're going to evaluate my property right away. It's going to go down. It's going to go down. How are you going to take care of that for me?
I can't speak to again, the value of the property. I can't speak to on what I can do about the topography of the hill as when you're driving down and overlooking the solar farm. There's not a lot that I can do about that. What I am taking into consideration is the folks living around the solar farm day to day when they walk out the door. The screening is such to where it's not an intrusion on the visual aesthetic of you coming in and out of your home. The folks coming up over the hill, driving 50 miles an hour down the road, there's not a lot that I can do about that level of topography. I'm not an assessor, I'm not a real estate agent.
Let's
I'm
walk
gonna go
here
see
to
that.
that house. And it's going to evaluate crime. There's no doubt at all. But I don't know how you're going to survive those things. I don't know how you're going to hide because they're not hidden in any community that I've gone through with solar technology.
At ground level, there'll be adequate experience, certainly.
So I'm going to take the trip back. But I have solar house. Could be over $100,000.
We don't see assessed value plummet in the way that maybe you're anticipating when we put up the solar farms. Again, because of how far it's set off the road, the amount of screening that we're implementing into the project, you're not going to see that drastic of a property drop or a property value drop. I don't believe, again, I'm not going to speak to that though. I'm not an assessor, I'm not a real estate agent, I don't know your house.
It will drop as compared to what it would be a big drop. Because people, I know I was one next to school. And unless the price was really good, you might buy that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, Jared, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're going to, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And I'll tell you this, there'll be no action taken tonight.
When will the next action take place, or how will we know?
Well, the
what
next
happens
meeting, I believe, is July 26th, correct? July 26th. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we
Thank
gonna
you.
get a mailing for that or no? Like-
July 26th at 6 p.m.
Should I
I mean, yeah. And if you want to call me to look at those plans, they're on my desk.
Thank you.
No, because I'd like to have them here in case other people want to look at them. We do, but yeah. I'll just keep it on.
Steve, will the July 26th be an extension of the public hearing or the public?
No.
No more public hearing?
Yeah, right.
All right.
Pardon?
July 26th, 6 p.m.
Yes.
It's gonna go right on.
Yeah. No.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I'm sorry, Tom, I'm right here in high school.
Did you ask 7 questions to him in high school?
Bernie, we're still fighting out on the list for George.
Yeah.
You didn't make the list.
I'm not sure. My that whole family is going on vacation.
If you go on our Town of Lewiston website, I have my supervisor at townoflewiston.us email. If you want to email me anything before that date, please do. Sure, you just call and make an appointment. My phone number's on the website and everything. Okay, have a good night. Thank you. Okay. I would now move to approve the agenda. I have an addition under Councilman Guyben's liaison report for recreation on some recreation hires.
I have it.
You have it?
I have
Okay, so for Councilman Jacoby, we have a retirement.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have a letter to read regarding that from Linda Johnson.
And does anybody else have anything for the agenda?
Nothing to add, no.
Okay. Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I also like to mention that, and I should have done this before, that Councilman Morel has been excused for tonight for a family function. So, he will, and that's another reason we didn't vote on the solar fund tonight. He wanted to be a part of it as well. So we'll move to resident statements, and we'll start with Robert Wright, 2132 Adams Circle. Hi.
I printed a sheet. I think it makes it a little easier to understand what we're talking about here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robert, you have one copy, give it to the gentleman who's sure.
Anybody else? Sure.
to Dave Train.
I think he's aware.
Did he go?
So my name is Robert Casey Wright. I reside at 2132 Adams Circle with my wife and our 2 daughters. We've lived there for almost 8 years now with no issues. And 3 weeks ago, we had a major rainstorm, and the ditch behind the house filled, which is normal after a heavy rain. The problem that we're having is that behind my house, I'm low to my neighbors, east and west of me, and I'm also the low part of the farm. And so with that, along with the ditch being filled with cattails, the water level grew above my sump crock line. So the water table's up here, my sump pump crock line is here, and with that much water, the water would leave my crock, the check valve would close, and there's nowhere for the water to go. It's coming out of the bottom of my downspout. And then it's puddling at my foundation. So I got a hold of the town builders. They put me in touch with Dave Train, I believe.
Dave's here.
Dave is here?
Right here.
How you doing? I didn't recognize you without the hat. Right. So he came out in short order, was very helpful, but couldn't really provide me with any answers on who owns the ditch. So we talked about some things I could do to see if I could get it open. We found the crock line, cleaned it out. I flushed it with my hose water. I could see flow, but it got to the point where it filled so high that it was then backing up again. So once I realized that, I came back here and spoke with I believe his name was Chris, and there was an older gentleman too. We were trying to look at property lines and see who owns what, and the older gentleman said that he was 99% sure that it wasn't town property, that it was the farmer's property, and encouraged me to have a conversation with him. He is a nice man. Mr. Raby did state that it is his property, but it's the town's responsibility to maintain what he was calling a waterway. For a while I was calling it a culvert, but it's just a ditch that collects water from my sump crock and a couple of neighbors around me. And even with the rain that we had Friday, I had a similar issue. I'm starting to divert my downspouts and running 20-foot leads of pipe to keep the water out of the sump crock to try to help keep my basement dry. So I'm just here to see if if there's anything that I can do, if there's any type of answers I can get on how we can address this issue. I'm willing to help. I mean, if you need anything from me, I'm more than willing to help. I was just hoping I could get some answers.
Dave, you want to talk?
Thank you.
I spoke with Mr. Raby. We're going to go in and try to mow it, but right now I'm in the middle of paving and I got other projects going, so I can't free up anyone. I'm borrowing manpower for that. So we're going to put a boom mower back there to help dry it up. But where he lives is as flat as it could be.
Right.
We get no drainage. The drainage is open and it's Swan Road, and that's the way it should be drained. What I believe happened too is over time they dug it out because people complain to dig it out. And what happens is once you start digging it up, it becomes lower and now it doesn't drain.
Yeah.
I believe that's what.
You and I walked the waterway he's showing on here, drainage ditch. You and I walked that another time. Not his property, not Mr. Raby's property, but you and I walked it and we went over it, and there is a ditch that goes north off of the subdivision, crosses Swan Road and heads north, and it looked clear.
Yeah.
Now, this has been like one of the driest springs we've had. Is this like every year you have an issue?
No, I've just started so my property always drained. My property's a little damp, right, because I'm low.
Okay.
I realize that. But within the last couple of years, it's taken much longer for my property to drain. And from what I'm being told, and I grew up in the city of Niagara Falls, so this is not my realm of,
Right.
Culverts and ditches and stuff
Right.
like that. So it's not my realm. But from what I understand is the cattails, I always thought cattails were good. They liked water. They're going to suck the water up. But that's not necessarily the case. I believe they're stopping the flow. And so my father-in-law owns the lot next door. So I started walking, it's 20 feet in is wet in his ditch, and then it's bone dry. So I figured I'd start there, start pulling cattails out and see if I could get movement, but I'm like 1.5 feet, 2 feet lower in my ditch compared to him, so it just can't go anywhere. And there's a huge, so there's my house. If you're heading east, looking at the map, there's my house, the open lot my father-in-law owns, a ranch, and then there's the town easement. And that's where Raby's culvert that runs north and south hits that easement that has a bigger pipe, it's encased in concrete, and the water flushes through there. If we could just get my, if we
So
could
what
just...
you're saying is your water's not getting there?
It's not moving nowhere. It's not going anywhere.
I don't know which town easement that is.
Yeah.
It is. We, with Chris and the older gentleman, pulled up the town, the property lines and stuff like that, and they definitely call it an easement. I know Mr. Messing, the neighbor, mows it, so maybe that's why it doesn't get a lot of the town's, focus, because it doesn't need to be maintained by anybody.
That's the one that along east and west.
It's when you and I walked.
That's all overgrown, that's on Raby's property. The other person maintains, there's a lot there, it was supposedly owned by the town of Lewiston, I'm not sure.
That's the one I'm referring to. That's
The red line.
no, right here with the yellow.
Okay,
here
yeah,
where the
okay.
yellow line
I was
meets.
talking about this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about that.
Yeah, so right here, there's a culvert encased in concrete that also heads north. Below ground.
I'm sorry, is this north?
No, this is north, sir.
Okay.
So the way my mind works, and I'm not saying it's correct, but
Where's Reason's property?
this is all his
Okay,
property.
where's Swan Road?
Swan Road is up here.
Okay, this is totally different than where I thought you lived. But Dave, you are looking into help him out.
Not in the time and fashion that he'd like.
I mean, I
Every
definitely,
year, or every couple of years, we go in and mow it and try to maintain it, or maybe we do sections of it, or, the problem I'm running into is no one else finishes maintaining it, and we do it. And they figure, you're coming back. Well, I don't have time. This property also sits low, and the ditch is low. So even if I get everything cleared right out, smooth, perfect, this ditch is still going to be low in the backyard. You're still going to have a little bit of water.
in my opinion, at this point, mowing it, all it does is cut the cattails off, drop in the ditch, break down because it's wet in there, and then my property continues to raise while everyone else, it just, to me, it just seems like it fills and gets in the way and doesn't let the water flow.
Yeah.
And for it,
But if I dig it.
right, then
I'll
I'm
make it
lower,
low.
correct.
So there's no great solution to this.
To me-
As flat as could be.
Right, to me, if we could progress, and I understand there's budgets and money and everything's involved like that, but if we could progress east to where that culvert leads out, I mean, it's a big enough pipe, and it's probably the shortest run than trying to clear it all out. Obviously, I don't know the answer or the solution.
Yeah, I know this whole neighborhood has had problems in the past. and it was-
I've learned that.
Yeah, so I think we're paying for the ills of the past right
Yeah.
now with that entire subdivision. I don't think it was ever drained properly. Yeah, so, okay.
Do you have a septic system
I do.
and it works properly?
Yes, sir.
It's,
They have the water deep away from the septic. I walk the property.
Yeah.
The septic hall is, and it's great to find that.
Mhm.
Problem is it's all fresh water. The gutter lines.
Yeah.
Everything's tied into something. You find that under that something?
I did.
Because you gotta have
I was
water
able to
out.
clear that a little bit. It's in a little deep. I'm going to cut it back.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps.
That should help with keeping the water away from your foundation.
Right. No, I have, like I said, I have flow.
Raby's farm, you'll give me more or less permission to do whatever you want. I got the area there cleared around the catch basin and stuff there, but that is could be. I can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I dig it, it becomes worse.
Okay. Well, we'll work with Dave and see, what can be done, because it's not just you.
No,
So, no, in that area. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I know there's a couple other people.
Who can I contact to be like updated or?
Well, Dave, yeah. Dave, Dave's drainage. Where it's underlying here, that's Dave. No, you can call me.
Okay.
I'll talk to you, I'll work with Dave.
No, you guys got my number. Call me.
Thank you.
We do want to tell you, though, that Dave told you that this is the first chance we've had to really go after the paving, and so he's real busy now.
No, I comprehend that.
But
I know, like, when I called, the lady was like, oh, we just started paving.
Yeah.
She was going on vacation. I'm thankful for how quick he did respond.
Yeah.
I do comprehend. I mean, I can divert the water for now.
Yeah.
My worry is another huge downstorm or rainstorm like we had, and I got water in my basement.
Hopefully someone will look and come up with some longer-term solution.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. And Zoe.
Oh, yeah, so,
Hi, I'm Christine Dumoulin, and I'm a fourth grade teacher at the IEC. And over the past 4 months, we've been working on passion projects to help the community. McKenna Breeden and Waylon Follison, along with Charlotte Ryan and Zoe Woodhouse, who is the person who headed this project, have been working on fundraisers to help renovate the dog park. Zoe couldn't be here tonight, but she did write a speech, and she does have a videotape, so hopefully it plays.
I am a fourth grade student at the Lewiston IEC. I love to improve the Lewiston dog park. 3 reasons why is because the dogs need shape. Second, I would like for the dogs to have a fun and safe place to come and play. Third reason is dog fights happen there because there is nothing to do there. I would like to add trees, some small obstacles, and walking water. The entrance to the dog park can let the dogs paw pads. I have about $2,000 to improve the dog park, and David Trey already bought 2 hydrants. I've checked out the dog park, and there's nothing to do. There is plenty of room to run, but for dogs that don't like running that much, it can get boring for them. I hope you like my idea of renovating the Lewiston dog park since series out here.
So the biggest thing that she wants is shade for the dogs and water. So we've been in contact with David Train for the last 3 months or so.
That's him in the yellow shirt there.
He's willing to donate 2 hydrants, and we've kind of researched what would provide shade. So we've looked into trees. We're not sure if that will work or not. My co-teacher, Rachel Smith, she has a cousin who works at the Lancaster Dog Park, Como Lake Park, which is also being renovated, and they have tarps that they're installing. I did call a company in California, which would be $30,000, which is way beyond what we were hoping. So we're not quite sure where to go with this. Zoe's father is an architect, so he's excellent with designing. So hopefully he and David Train and Zoe can work together to provide shade for the dogs. Also, Zoe had mentioned the entrance too. Sometimes the dogs get their pads turned up a little bit, so maybe that could be helped as well.
That's already in the works.
Perfect.
The entrances.
Yes.
They're going to put concrete or pavers in there, so that's going to be done.
Good, awesome.
Yeah.
But we would like to donate, Zoe has raised over $1,000.
Wow.
David had mentioned to have a fundraiser, so we contacted Tim Hortons on Center Street, talked to the manager in Niagara Falls. He said, let's do it. So May 29th, we were there from 9 to maybe 12-ish or 8 to 11, and these 2 friends of Zoe showed up too, and lots of people gave money, even if they weren't dog owners, which was wonderful. Hurtin' for Curtains and the Spicy Pickle also helped out too and displayed some of the dog bags that we didn't sell, which are about 30 of those, so they, I'm sure, have money for us as well. So, and also Arbor Tree and Land Care also donated a check for $50. So we would love to work with the board to do whatever we can to provide shade and water for the dogs there, so we can have them all enjoy it. This is a poster that Charlotte and McKenna and Waylon and of course Zoe created too that helped create some revenue for the dog properties.
Well, what I'd like to do is, if we could, get a quick picture. You want to get a quick picture? We'll come down with you, the board. And Donna.
No.
Come on.
No.
She's the dog lover.
Steve, the 2 water fountains in order, the 2 Wayfair. Come on. So you're all set with that. Come on. Here, you stand in front.
Come on, Bill.
Come on. Any chance we can to take pictures when we're not getting beat out this
Do you want the video of Zoe's face?
Oh, sure,
Yes.
yes.
I have a still.
Okay.
That.
What do you mean you're fine?
Just go ahead, take a picture.
I'm with the Gazette.
I can leave with the dog.
Zoe's there. Perfect. All right, that's excellent. Thank you, everyone.
That's okay.
Thank you very much. She's going to come over. You should have come down and had your tongue broke. I know, little kids. Thanks again for that. So that's it for resident statements. I'll throw it out there. Did anybody else would like to speak tonight? Feel free. Okay. So moving on from resident statements, we'll go to department head statements. So we'll start with Donna Garfinkel. Anything, Donna?
Yes. Just want to let everyone know that the town of Lewiston is sponsoring a free rabies clinic along with the Niagara County Department of Health. It's going to be on Saturday, July 10th at the Highway Garage from 9 to 12. You do have to register your dog ahead of time because it's kind of a scheduled event due to COVID. And then I also, back in April, the town board suspended hawking and peddling until July 1st. I want to know if you want to continue that or if you want to lift it.
Well, I would say we would lift it because the executive order was listed, go back to what we normally would do. Well, I think we should vote on that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
July 1st was the sunset clause to it, so it's expired.
well, it'll expire, okay, so it's going to expire on July 1st?
Yes.
So I guess we don't have to do anything.
Let's ask our attorney.
You could allow it to expire, put it on its own, or you could make it an affirmative vote,
Okay.
or to expire on the first.
Okay. So,
It's really your call as to how you want to do it.
so I'll ask for a motion to go back to our original, what is it, peddling and?
Hawking and peddling.
Hawking and peddling.
I don't like the word hawking.
I'm not fond of it myself.
Hawking and peddling law. So I ask for a motion to go back to our original law.
Make the motion. And I'll second that
We
motion.
have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So,
That's it.
awesome. Captain, anything?
Past few weeks, we helped out was Blueport Niagara Wheatfield graduation. They both had great turnouts. And, we didn't have to wear the masks and all that, so they had a lot of people, a lot of families to see them. So, nice.
Good. Okay. Bill Conrad, anything?
Nothing.
Nothing? Bob Lannon, you're on the agenda. Jeff? Dan?
Yes, I would like permission to rehire my summer help from last year, starting after the 4th of July. I spoke with Jackie, I have it in my budget.
Correct, Jackie?
That's correct.
Okay. Yep. So,
The names.
well, no, he doesn't have anybody yet.
Yeah.
Oh, you do have a
Same
name?
one from last year, Matt Johnson.
What's his name?
Matt Johnson.
Matt Johnson. Do you know what the hourly rate is? 15? Okay, so I'd ask a motion to hire Matt Johnson at $15 an hour for the water department.
So moved. Second.
Seasonal worker.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
that's it. Melinda.
Yes, I'd like permission to hire.
Hold on, stand up, Melinda. Go
I'd
ahead.
like permission to hire Kayla Johnson as a seasonal laborer for the senior center to do the gardening and lawn maintenance and cool weeds.
$2 an hour. We desperately need her.
Yes. So I'd ask for a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else, Melinda? Okay, I know Mike Dashno couldn't be here tonight, so. Yeah, so we'll move on. Okay. Approval of the meeting minutes for May 24th Town Board meeting and the June 7th special work session.
Move for approval as printed. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Audit payment, Councilman Jacoby.
I have two sets. One from June 14th. I move to approve the regular abstract of claims number 21-01362 and 21-01513, and recommend payment in the amount of $232,750.29, plus a post audit of $13,614.49. I'll do them all at once. I have the ones from June 28th. I move to approve the regular abstract of claims number 21-01547 and 21-01673, and recommend payment in the amount of $866,161.81, plus a post audit of $3,490.36.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and we'll be right back. So sit tight. Can I see you? Oh.
I'm going to clean it out. Did you want to say anything missing from your yard? Yes. I didn't know when you moved there, but it's every year. So excited. Sure, it's sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Donna, is the mic off?
No. If you move back, we won't hear you.
I'm sending out for PC. Hi, Melinda.
Oh, I'm coming back.
John,
Yes.
your historical meeting, the environmental meeting, do you think we bring back into the small room?
I think so, definitely. We've been getting a bigger crowd now. We got a couple of new people, replacement people. But, yeah, we'll move back in there.
Give Mr. Conrad and Mr. Betts a second. We'll get back to it.
We'll follow your lead on this, Steve.
Yeah. Okay, so under old business is dedication of Oak Run Phase 4. Bob Lannon.
Okay. There was a letter that was dated May 24th that summarized the status of the dedication at that time. If it's okay with the board, I would go through that real quick and provide a bit of an update, just in a high level. Niagara County Health Department approved the facilities constructed with water and sewer. Both of them have been approved. Water was approved on October 21st, sewer on May 19th of 2021. Final site walk was conducted by the department heads, and each of the department heads have filed an email. Those have been provided to the town as evidence of their approval. The final plat map was originally filed in October of 2014, and the re-subdivision map was filed on March 11th to adjust the lot line along the pond to reflect the wetland issue. In addition to that comment, there has since been a deed restriction that has been filed by the developer, specifically relating to lots 23 and 24, where the detention pond is located, covering how that pond is going to be handled with the private homeowners. The GHD project binder has been compiled. I have provided that to Mr. Train earlier this evening. That has all of the inspection reports performed by GHD, MS4 compliance, field drawings, construction photos, and a whole bunch of stuff related to the project. The draft public roadway dedication descriptions have been reviewed and submitted to the town attorney for review and approval. Copy of the deed restriction, again, that has been previously submitted. The 2-year maintenance bonds have been submitted and approved, one by the developer and 2 by Millhurst Construction for the water and the pavement and the curbs, so we're good on there. The right-of-way have been graded and seeded, it's been hydro-seeded, and that started to take some good shape there. Record drawings have been submitted and submitted to the town. The stub road along Hickory Lane has been boxed out and stone spread has been agreed. The developer has been coordinating with the highway department regarding the installation of the street signs for the subdivision. So, in a fairly quick summary, all of the infrastructure has been constructed in substantial conformance with the approved plans. I recommend the board consider dedication for Oak Run Phase 4.
Can I make that motion, Steve?
Sure.
I move that we approve the dedication tonight.
We have a motion and a second. Second.
Any recommendation for that?
Well, any question? We can go to any questions if you want to second it.
Sure.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? Any legal? Who were you?
Was everything cleared up on your end as far as the...
We were able to clear everything up in our discussions.
Yeah. Any questions?
And we should probably say that Dave, you happy?
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. New business, any residents' public correspondence, Donna?
No?
I will say, and I know it got some press and everybody kind of left, that we do have a missing dog in the town of Lewiston. It's on our Facebook page. Some people were in from out of town and they lost it in Devil's Hole area.
Devil's Hole, yeah.
It's been spotted at Academy Park and Swan Road recently. It's a chocolate lab with a red collar, but it's a runner.
Yes, its name is Astro. I don't know that he'll come to you if you call him. But.
So just, it's on our Facebook page, it's on the town dog, and so, you know, if anybody sees it.
He's been running since last Saturday. Like, not this past Saturday,
Yeah,
last Saturday.
right. So he's out there, so.
Chocolate lab.
Chocolate lab.
Yeah.
He's eating garbage on Swan Road today.
Yeah. So that's the public correspondence.
There you go.
So under my liaison report, we have the Upper Mountain Fire Company roster additions. Please add the following individuals to our roles as a new member of the Upper Mountain Fire Company of Lewiston, effective this date, which is June 24th. Roscoe Doherty, 2911 McCoon Avenue, and Ms. Ariel Raymond, 4600 Hyde Park Boulevard. So I'll make a motion to add them to the roster.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Anything legal, Al? Do you have anything? Engineering, Bob Landon, Riverfront Park project.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, the board should have a letter dated June 25th of this year summarizing the bids that we received on Tuesday, June 24th, 10 o'clock, we opened 3 bids. The bids range from a low bid of $187,255 up to $204,685. The apparent low bidder was Mark Sharon Incorporated. We had canvassed the bids and find no irregularities. We would recommend the board consider awarding the contract to Mark Sharon Inc. for the Riverfront Park Curving Project in the amount of $187,255. And I would also like to add, if the board was consider that, to allow the supervisor to execute the contract subject to attorney approval once we get the books conformed.
Make that motion.
I'll second that.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Question?
Yep, go ahead.
How soon will they be able to start after we?
I spoke to the contractor. He's looking. I'll inform him of the award tomorrow. He's looking to be going really pretty quick.
Good.
Usually we give about 10 business days to get bonds and insurances together, which will put us in, probably the second week in July, maybe for a notice to proceed on that order.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that order.
So, because that's a big step forward, it'll start to really look like something after the curbs come in.
Yeah. And then, again, I've said it before, but I could give a shout out to the highway superintendent and his crews. They're doing a hell of a job down there.
I think so, yeah, I've looked at it many times. Thanks, Bob.
Okay. Now the water line status?
Yes. Got a few bullets here. The pathway, if you've been down Lower River Road, you'll see that's undergoing final grading. The grading should be complete by the end of this week, and the paving actually will commence on Tuesday, July 6th. Okay, so that'll be after the July 4th weekend. They'll start to put some blacktop down. The last 6 service connections on Lewiston Road will be completed by the 30th of June, of course. The landscaping for the base bid amount, or the base bid landscape, I should say, is about 90% complete. If you drive around town, you see a lot of what they call hydro seeding, that light blue green is, and they got the hard landscaping done with the trenches that have been cut. The last interconnection on Lewiston Road and Mountain View Drive will be performed this week as well. There was an electrical service on Lower River Road that was damaged as part of, I believe, the water service installation. That's a 60-amp service at Mr. Weller's property. That'll be repaired today. There's about 500 linear feet remaining, excluding the bore on Hoover, of new water line, and we're going to extend the service to get out of the pavement area. The roadway will be paved, the bore pits filled in and temporarily restored by July 7th or July 14th. That's the completion date. And that all kind of boils down to the last bit of work that we need to do is do a case crossing beneath the railroad tracks. As part of the permit that we have secured and the contractor has secured, CSX requires flagmen to be there during that process. If there's no flagmen, there's no case crossing. Railroad is exceptionally particular about that. We have been trying for quite a while to get that coordinated. We have been assisting the contractor. We have struck out. We have been told that the flagmen are not available until the fall.
Wow.
So it could be another 10 weeks before that last 500 feet is installed. Well, probably not even that, because that's going to get up to the bore. Yeah. Once the bore starts, you have to go 24/7 to get it done. So it'll be continuous around the clock. We think it's about a 24-hour exercise that has to be undertaken once we get the flagmen coordinated.
And you have to do it on a Saturday.
And you have to do it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're real sticklers.
They're not available during the week, and it's only on weekends, and it's only 10 weeks from now at the earliest. So that is a bit of disappointing news. However, everything else will be done by the stipulated completion date, which is July 14th. Okay. So what I wanted to introduce to the board tonight, we would have to entertain a no-cost time extension to embrace the delay by CSX. I can't tell you how long it's going to be because I don't have CSX scheduled yet.
Yeah.
Once we do, we can give a no-cost time extension to execute, just to keep things nice and tidy for the paper for the board. So, but I think by and large it's gone reasonably well. Knocked down wood, of course. We're not quite there, but we can see the finish line.
I have 2 comments on the water line.
Anything else, Danny?
One thing was I wanted to really give a heads up to Dan Zano because there was a few problems on my street, and he was the go-to person for the water treatment, and he got right back to us and took care of it. The other thing I wanted to ask about was one of my neighbors had an in-ground sprinkler system, and when they were doing it, they tore it up a little bit, like broke it, and then I guess the contractor told my neighbors that it was in the right-of-way, and they shouldn't have had the sprinkler system out that far towards the street.
I think that's been taken care of.
Yeah. I told him it was in the right of way.
Oh, you did?
I did, but Millhurst was taking care of it. I let him know that it was in the right of way, but Millhurst was taking care of it.
Oh, I didn't
So
hear.
Millhurst fixed it.
Yeah, because they're really good at Millhurst. They've been.
No.
I was surprised when I heard it. It didn't sound like we were just going to let them say, well, to heck with you.
No. If they damage it, I'm not surprised.
That's great. I probably heard it pre-worked on.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
been a cooperative effort.
Good.
And that's- you can't ask for any more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And along with Dan Zano, I think Dan will say a 2 thumbs up for GHD's man on the scene. What's his name? Jim Milks.
Mhm.
So he's the guy with Dan that's keeping us all together.
Yeah, I think I spoke with him
Yeah.
a couple times.
Yeah. He's the guy in the GHD pickup truck that looks like it's on its last legs. Get the guy a new truck, would ya?
That is a new truck. Trust me. This one has 150,000 miles, the one he had at 220 was a bucket of rust.
Yeah.
So, just so you know, GHD, me, Bob, Dan, and Jim, they piped all in front of the senior center.
Yeah, good.
Turn and go down there, so our down there now, the senior center, it's all been piped.
Yeah, I noticed that there, looks good.
Yeah.
Looks good. So
That's
that's
awesome. Good.
That was on Millhurst volunteered to do it.
Well, that's good. Yeah. No, they've been great.
Read that resolution concise, it needs to be made, give the extension.
I don't have the dates yet. I will once we have the dates, yeah. It's similar to what we've done in the past when we had the winter shutdown and we showed it up, so. Everything that they can, or everything they'll be able to do, they'll be done by July 14th with the exception of that case crossing over there.
You'd probably call it 95% of the project will be done by July 14th. And this is just a
I'll
little
go better.
section.
I'll go better, yeah.
A little section.
Mr. Duffy puts anything in the paper, or Terry puts anything in the paper, tell the presidents for water in front of their.
A little ring up the hydro sleeve.
Yes, water.
Yeah.
We'll have better news that comes when we're done, but I'm not going to share that just yet.
Yeah. Okay, awesome, thank you. And finance, Jackie, budget revisions?
Mr. Supervisor and board members, I have previously submitted 4 budget revisions to you in your board packet. Tonight I asked for the approval of those.
I have them, and move for approval as presented.
Second?
Motion is second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Councilman Guyton.
So, there's 2 things that have to be done, but I'm only referring to one of them, so let me just do the recreation. Mr. Dashnaw is interviewing and he's reaching out to hire 4 people: Nicole Short, Jack Bernstein, and Kendall Rowe. At this time, just those 3. He is still short a couple of employees. Let's just do these 3 first. Move to hire
Okay.
at $13 per hour.
Yep, and Kendall Perot is $12.50 an hour.
$12.50.
Yep, she's $12.50, the other 2 are $13. So there'll be Nicole Short as recreation leader and Jack Bernstein as recreation leader at $13 per hour, and Kendall Perot recreation aide at $12.50 per hour. Do you make that motion?
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried.
He is still short some, but we may have to do a meeting, a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Why do we have to resume?
Well, because he needs a Sanborn recreation leader, and you can't find one, and if he finds
Oh,
one.
we'd have a special meeting.
Yeah,
Just real quick.
yeah, just like we did the last time.
Okay.
So again, if anybody knows anybody in the Sanborn area, I think for a rec leader, you have to be 18 years old.
Yeah, makes
So-
it hard.
Yeah, so if anybody knows anybody in the Sanborn area that can use a summer job, usually they're beating down the door, but this is a strange year, so.
Yeah.
The other thing I have are the new playgrounds, but I don't have the right information.
What do you mean you don't have that?
Well, all I have is one.
Let me see.
Should be in front of you.
Is this your file? Okay.
Let's at least do the touch of road then. So, go ahead, do touch your road.
We've been working on a new part of Pleasure Road to replace the one that is there that has outlived its life expectancy. And we have gone through the process and have the money committed from Greenway. And so we just need to approve this Pleasure Road Park Option 2 at the price of $435,169.71. And then have the supervisor sign said contract, and then
That's an addition.
and plus the rubber pond surface, $130,310. With approval of those two purchases for the park, and ask the supervisor to sign said contract after review from the attorney.
Second.
Yeah, you review them all.
I've already reviewed it, and I just noted that that was a state bid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In addition, he had also sought three different bids for the same package. And selected what he
I don't either.
With a motion and a second, Jacoby, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then the Sanborn one,
I
It didn't
printed
come
the whole
through when I
email.
tried to print it.
Yeah, it didn't come through mine either.
okay.
Let me just see if I get it here.
Hold on, I better see if I can.
Did you get? You didn't even get the Fletcher Road, did you? I didn't get the Fletcher Road either. I mean, I know about it, but I didn't get the Fletcher.
No, two up Fletcher, that's all I have.
Yeah. Yeah, they both.
So we'll take no action on the Sanborn one tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
And if we have an extra finance employee, maybe we do the two things.
Okay. And is that it?
Yes.
Well, were you gonna read the letter?
Yes, me. Which letter?
You were.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Adam, back to it. Okay, Councilman Jacoby.
Okay. We're going to table the Kilmer Solar Farm decision, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I have a letter from Linda Johnson, our assessor. And it's to Supervisor Steve Broderick and Town of Lewiston board members. Please be advised that Heidi Sequin, real property appraisal technician, has submitted a letter informing me that she will be retiring effective July 31st, 2021. I am requesting your approval to fill her position by contacting the Niagara County Civil Service Agency and review the list of the potential candidates for the position in my department. Thank you for your time and consideration. I'd like to make the motion that we give her the heads up that she can do that. And can we vote on that first, and then I'll read actually Heidi's letter?
Sure. We have a motion and a second to allow Linda Johnson to contact the Niagara County Civil Service Agency and review the list of potential candidates. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay, and I have the actual letter from Heidi. It says, Dear Linda, I'm writing to inform you of my plan to retire effective July 31st, 2021. I am grateful for the opportunity to have worked with you over the past 6 3/4 years. Please let me know if I can be of any assistance during this transition. Sincerely, Heidi Sequin. Kind of sad to see Heidi go. She's been, well, since I've been around, because I've been around shorter than that, so she's been here longer than me, and I don't know. It's always kind of sad to see people retire, but happy for her, and we should wish her a happy and successful retirement.
Yeah. Yeah.
Move to, John, you got your move to
To accept Heidi's letter of retirement? Yes, I make that motion.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and that's all I have, Steve.
Okay. Councilman Morial is in here, so I will handle his sewer refunds. He has a sewer refund, and Jeff, there's 5 altogether, and you've approved all 5 of them, correct? Okay. So it's a sewer refund for Dave Adelizi, 4374 Autumn Lane, in the amount of $124.50 for a pool.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have one for Lauren Catney's, 4435 Creek Road, in the amount of $79.75.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We have one for Brenda Lands, 2929 Elm Street in Sanborn, in the amount of $37.33.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. We have one from Kathleen Silva, 701 Powell Lane, Lewiston, also for a pool for $114.50.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And we have one for Scott Wechter at 4791 Oak Ridge Lane in the amount of $105.41.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Councilman Myers.
Just on behalf of Sanborn Business, new restaurant, new town, the Tekla Rustic Bistro.
Yep.
We have their ribbon cutting tomorrow.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock tomorrow. Yep, awesome. How about, I know we talked about this before, and you're working with the 5G. You want to touch base on anything with 5G?
Yeah, me and our lawyer, Mr. Prax, have been looking over some of the other municipalities, what they've been doing as far as 5G, and looking to take the best that we can find from what they're doing and seeing how we can adopt it for our town.
Do we have a time goal in mind as to when we can get?
Hope to have a draft for all of you to look at, hopefully by our next meeting. We're focusing on the town of Amherst and the town of Lewiston, which is a little, very kind of user-friendly. Kind of meets all of our needs, but Amherst, on the other hand, which is more of a technical document, kind of goes into more of the specifics. We're trying to take the specificity without making it too overburdensome for our town, for our size, and kind of giving us flexibility that we hope to have in it.
Okay. Any resident statements at their meeting? Upcoming boards commission meetings. No July work session scheduled. Town hall offices are closed on July 5th, which is Monday. Zoning Board of Appeals is July 8th at 6:30 p.m. Environmental Commission is July 13th at 7 p.m. Planning Board is July 15th at 6:30 p.m. Historic Preservation Commission is July 20th at 6 p.m. And the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee is July 21st at 7 p.m.
Steve, I think we will have the Environmental Commission and the Historic Preservation Commission meet here at Town Hall in the break room.
Okay, great. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everybody, for coming. It's glad to see everybody in person.
Done.